Hi there, my name is Veronica Vera, and in this tutorial, I'll be showing you how I take a complex SOP and use tools like ChatGPT and Ideogram to turn it into a branded PowerPoint presentation designed for training. And I do all of that while still protecting company information. So if that's what you're interested in seeing, let's go ahead and get started. Now, our starting point is this complex SOP. This one's titled De-Escalation Techniques for Customer Calls, and it is for a customer support center by the name of ServicePoint. Now, as you can see, this is a pretty robust 14-page SOP that we're going to use as an example of how we turn something like this with lots of information and lots of company information into a PowerPoint presentation using ChatGPT and an image generation tool called Ideogram. Now, I wanted to show you what we're starting with, and here is a glimpse of what the end result will be. Now, here is our end result. This is ultimately what we end up with when we take all the steps that I'm going to be showing you in this tutorial, is this branded PowerPoint presentation. The image that you see in the background, that was created using Ideogram. All this titles and subtitles, bullet points, all of this was created with ChatGPT. It summarized it very quickly in a matter of minutes, where I would have taken a few hours to do. And then also each image that you're seeing on each of these slides, they were also created using that application called Ideogram, which I'll show you later on, but wanted to give you a glimpse as to what we're working towards. Now, the first step in this process is to scrub the SOP. Now, what do I mean by that? When I say scrub, that means I'm going to go through this document and remove anything that could be considered proprietary information, anything that would point to ServicePoint as the company that this information is for. Since I'm going to be using this for our PowerPoint presentation and feeding it into ChatGPT, that way it can summarize it, company information is not required for the purposes of what we're working towards. So to keep our company information safe, I'm just going to eliminate it entirely. I'm going to show you just how I do that in just a matter of minutes. This is not something that needs to take very long. So for starters, I'm going to just go ahead and take out the obvious. So we have information in the header of our document as well as in the footer. So by doing that, I've done that for the entire document. And now something that takes a few more minutes, but we're going to go through this document, making sure that any references are either masked or removed entirely. So here we have this table. This one's full of information as who it was prepared by, who it was approved by, as well as company contact information. None of that we need, so we'll go ahead and just remove it from our document. And now, I don't want to include the company name, since this is going into a publicly available ChatGPT. I know some of us have some internal tools that we can use, but if you're using something external, this is what I recommend you do. So you're going to go into your document, find, let's say this is the company name, highlight it, and then hit Control H on your keyboard. That's going to bring up this dialog box, and I can have it just remove it. So we have, for every instance of the name ServicePoint, we can either have it replace it with nothing, and then it would go within the entire document. Anything that says ServicePoint would then be deleted. Or in this case, I like to mask it instead. And the reason why I do this is so that in case I need to plug back in ServicePoint when I'm working on my PowerPoint presentation, I can easily see where that company name used to exist. So I'll go ahead and select Replace All. It goes for the entire document, and these are 8 instances of the company name. We'll click yes to start from the beginning, and then click OK once it's completed that. And I'll show you one more time how we did that. So for instance, there is this rapid resolve support. So this is the name of an application within the company. I don't want to include it, so I've highlighted it. Hit Control H to bring up that dialog. It didn't bring it over, but that's okay. We can just type it into rapid resolve support. And here I'll mask it too. That way, if I need to plug it back in, I can, but only I know what this means. So we'll go ahead and select replace all. And there was only one instance of it within the document, so we're good there. And then you would simply take a few minutes to do this, because you would find the one instance, it goes throughout the document, replaces all instances. So really, this is just a small effort to protect company information. All right, now that we've scrubbed our document and we're ready to put that information into ChatGPT, let's go ahead and do that. So first, I'm going to start off with what I like to call a primer. I've been working with ChatGPT for the last 2 years, and so what I do has worked for me in the past, so I just continue to do that. And so this is my first prompt. This is, please read the following section of the document in its entirety. I plan to convert it into a PowerPoint presentation. Once you've finished reviewing and fully understanding the content, please reply done. And I do this section by section instead of pasting in all of the information from the document, because I found that this is what works best and I get the best quality in return. So we'll go ahead, I'll paste in that text from that document, and keep in mind, ChatGPT does have the option to upload a document. However, I avoid you doing that in order not to include any metadata. So in documents, if you go into File and Info is where you'll find this information. It could list the company name, who's the owner of that document, just more details that we're trying to avoid giving to ChatGPT. So instead of uploading a file, I'm simply pasting in the text. And so we have our prompt, we have the text that I wanted to read and understand and consume. And then once I'm happy with that, we'll go ahead and click on this arrow here. And as promised, it has read it in its entirety and it's ready for the next prompt. So my next prompt is a little bit more detailed. And so I'm giving it specific instructions as to what I wanted to do with that text that I just gave it. And in this prompt, we're saying, next provide an outline for this section of the presentation. Begin with the section title slide, followed by each individual slide with its corresponding title and 5 bullet points. Maintain the original titles and bullet points as closely as possible. So what I mean by that is the verbiage. I want it to sound professional and consistent with the document itself. And very importantly, I make sure it does not include any of those pesky em dashes. Once we place that there, we'll go ahead and submit that to ChatGPT. And then it starts giving me exactly what I asked for. So here we see the slide section title, De-Escalation, techniques for customer calls. And then in each slide, we're seeing that title for the slide, as well as those bullet points that I asked for. Not too long, not too short. And then you can see how it masks. It's using the information that I masked. So you can see that, and I can plug it in once I'm working within PowerPoint. I can go ahead and replace that. So very quickly, it has given me the information that I need for each of these slides. And now I'm going to prompt it once more, because instead of doing the copy and paste, I prefer it to provided me with a downloadable text file. So we'll prompt it for it to provide us with that. Oh, and I might have missed, but it understood what I needed anyway. And here's that downloadable file. So the next step now is to use that file that we just got from ChatGPT and use it to create our PowerPoint presentation. Now that we have our text file here on the left side from ChatGPT that includes the presentations, titles, and bullet points, we're going to go ahead and just simply copy and paste that information into our PowerPoint presentation template that we often have for most companies. So let's go ahead and do that. Hopefully I can show you here in just a few minutes just how quickly we can put it together. So on the left side, I'm just copying that information and pasting it into the slide. So that's going to be the primary title, and this is our title slide. I do have a subtitle for this, so I'll go ahead and copy it here on the left, and then paste it here on the left side. And we're done with the title page. We'll move on to the section title page, or slide rather, and we'll insert that title from the right side, paste it here. We also have a subtitle for our section title slide. So we'll copy it here on the right side and paste it here on the left. Okay, and then moving on to our first slide. Here, I made sure to ask ChatGPT to keep these titles the same as the ones that are found in our SOP. I also asked it to summarize that information, but keeping it as closely as we can to the vocabulary used within, or the verbiage rather, that was used within our SOP. And here I just have to tweak it a little bit. That way our bullet points are lined up the way we need them to. And then you'll see here on the right side, there's an image placeholder. I did already generate those images that we'll need. So we'll go ahead and replace it with those images. And here I have a first digital illustration. I do prefer digital illustrations, though Ideogram is very good at creating actual photograph-like images, but for me to keep a consistent style, this is the style I prefer. So we'll go ahead and go to slide 2 and we'll do exactly what we did before. Take that title, copy it from the right side, and then place it in our slide here on the left. And we'll do the same with these bullet points. And you can see how effortlessly we can put together a PowerPoint presentation. I do like to keep this streamlined as possible. Using templates is a big help in that department as well. So we have the second illustration. You might have noticed it's similar to the first. It does use the company branded colors, something that I will show you just how I created those. But for this part of our tutorial, I'm just going to quickly go through this and do copy and paste one more time. Just so you can see, this is pretty effortless. And quite frankly, it saved me, creating this workflow saved me quite a bit of time whenever I had to generate a training presentation. This was the workflow that I used. And I was able to create these presentations fairly quickly and also in good quality as well. So I love these images. I love that they have the brand colors. I feel like gives it a very unified look. And then while we do slide 3, I want to go ahead and fast forward towards the end. Once we've copied and pasted all the information, the next step is to actually give this presentation more of a branded look. And the way I do that is I use an image, usually an abstract image that further implements the brand colors. I go into the view menu here at the very top, go into slide master, and I'll go and select the very first one. That way this image or this background image is applied to the entire presentation. So I'll go ahead and select to format the background. We want to select picture or texture fill, and we're going to under picture source, we're going to select insert, navigate to where I have that file saved. The background design is what I named it. We'll select insert. Okay, and that is our image or the background image. I do like to modify it just a little bit, just so that making sure that, let's see, I'm looking for, I probably have to select it. Format background, here we go. I just want to make sure it's not too bright in color. It would be under color. Okay, and so I'll take it just down a little bit. Okay, that way it's not competing with the text when I do this. And so this is all we need to do. We can go ahead and close out of that format background, and then also close out of master view. And now we have this more branded appearance when it comes to our presentation. I created that image using Ideogram, and here in just a moment, I'll show you exactly how I did that. Now, this is Ideogram. This is the text-to-image AI tool that generates the images that I use within my PowerPoint presentations. I like creating images in order to incorporate the brand colors and give it that more unified and elevated look to my presentations. I'm going to start with showing you how I would go about creating that background image. I typically come here to the Nature tab for Ideogram, and I'll pick something inspired by nature, something that's not too distracting, and something that would easily be converted into an abstract image. Now, I see one right away, which is this one here. I'll go ahead and click on it once to open that up. And so I see something very soothing, but it would not be distracting as a background image. And I can change it so that it will incorporate those brand colors. So let me show you how I do that. Once I click on it, I'll go ahead and look for the prompt that was used. So it's this one here. And I'll go ahead and select this option to use it because I'm going to use it, but I'm going to change it as well. So this is actually just fine the way it is. I usually look for any references to any other colors. I do see one here, sage, so we'll turn that to blue since the company colors are primarily blue. And let's see, I think that was the only one, so that was pretty simple. Here we have a few options. This is private because I have a pro account. The free account is not private, so it would be public. Anything that you generated would be available for anyone else that's using the application. Here you can select the size, and the one that is selected works for me. And here we can select the quality. You can select the speed if you need it faster, but I'm more focused on quality, so that works for me. And then my favorite part, which is here, the color. This is where I provide Ideogram with a list of hex color codes. Here, I'll paste it in here in this bottom field here. And then once I've done that, I'll go ahead and click on generate and see what it produces. Now, I'm going to find those creations here on the left side where it says creations. It does 4 instances of it. So let's see what it does for us. It's going to be these first 4. And in a moment, we're going to have something that incorporated our brand colors. Now, I really like this last one here. This one is pretty good, something that I would use. Now, if I wasn't 100% happy with it, I do have the option to remix. So I would select here remix, and then we can try it again. I can tweak it. Let's say I really like this, but maybe I'd like to see a few different versions of this same image. This image weight option here, I can bump it up a little bit if I want the next generations to be closer to what I'm seeing here, or I can reduce it if I want something maybe a little different from this original image. So I'm just going to bump it up actually because I'm pretty happy with it, but I'm curious what else it will generate. So I'll hit remix, go back here on the left side, click on creations. And now in a moment, it's going to show us that image. Okay. And it looks like I should have stopped while we were ahead because that one actually works. So we're going to go back to that fourth image. This one is something I could easily use in a PowerPoint presentation. And once I find one that I'm happy with, here on the right side, I like to just mark it as a favorite in case I need to come back to it. And here I would click on the download option and select the PNG, and then go ahead and just save it somewhere on my computer. And that's how I would go about creating the background image. Now that we have our background image with the branded colors, I'm going to show you how I create those individual illustrations for each of the slides. So I'm going to show you a few examples because you probably already noticed them. Here on the creation end, I have created and generated these images. Now, the PowerPoint presentation was about agents and remaining calm and confident during a phone call where they might have to be dealing with an upset customer. So I'm going to go ahead and show you how I created these agent-inspired illustrations. So I would simply come up here and into this prompt field, just simply state exactly what I'm looking to have it create. And in this case, I'm going to say a digital illustration of a service desk agent wearing a headset and working at a computer. The agent appears calm and confident while speaking with a customer on the phone. The background is a modern office. Okay, so in this case, we still have it at private, but I'm going to change the ratio. So 3 to 4 works for me. And I do want to make sure it uses those brand colors. And we'll go ahead and paste those in here. All right, so now we're ready to generate. So let's see what it actually creates for us. I see it's generating here on the bottom right. Oh, and they're here at the top, which is where I prefer to see them. Okay, so slowly but surely here they are. Not really that slow, but we have a few examples of what we're looking for. I really like this one, this first one here. I'll open that up. I do prefer one without text, but this is a really good starting point. This is like the style that I prefer. So here on the right side is that original prompt that I used. But let's say I wanted to create other images that looked like this. I would use the magic prompt, which is a very detailed prompt that Ideogram generates. And honestly, it's one of the reasons why I've kept coming back to this particular application, though there's other text-to-image AI tools that do just this. This is why I prefer Ideogram, because of this magic prompt and because it allows me to provide those colors that I want for my images, so that they look like they are company branded. All right, so we're going to take this one and let's say we wanted to generate a few other examples. I'm going to use this magic prompt. We'll just click on that plus. It goes ahead and uses that. And everything here looks good, so we'll just select to generate one more time. And if I go back to creations here on the left, we're going to see those examples here at the top left corner. And like I mentioned before, oftentimes I have to repeat this process a few times in order for me to get what I'm looking for. But I let's say we like for this very first one, right? We like how this looks like and we want to use it. We would come here, mark it as one of our favorites, and then go ahead and download it. But there's one thing I want to show you, because with presentations, I like to make sure that each image looks like the same style, not just the same combination of colors. So in order to do that, let's say we would remix this as an example. And let's say I want this one to look more like one I already created. So I would do that by coming to Style, selecting a reference, and then I would come into here and just use one of the ones I've already generated. Let's say I want this one here. I'll click open, and this is going to be my reference style. So it's going to look in the same style as one I've already created. And so once we have that as our reference style, we'll go ahead and select generate and go back to creations here and see if that image is now a little bit closer to the images we already created. And here in just a moment, it'll show us that. And as you can see, they are very similar in style, which is a new feature in Ideogram. I didn't always have it. So now that we have it, I use it quite a bit. And so that is just how I created those images for each of those slides. And there you have it. That is how I take a complex SOP, take that information, plug it into ChatGPT, get an outline of my presentation, and also use Ideogram to create branded images. If you have any questions, please leave it in the comments. Or if there's any other workflows that you would like to see using AI tools, I'm all ears. Hopefully you've gotten value from this video. Feel free to share with your team or your colleagues if they spend far too much time creating PowerPoint presentations. And I'll see you in the next one.